In 1997, Larry Page and Sergey Brin built a search engine in a Stanford dorm room called BackRub. The name was terrible, but the technology was revolutionary and worked better than anything on the internet. It ranked websites by how many other sites linked to them, like academic citations. This approach produced dramatically better search results than existing search engines that relied only on keyword matching and frequency. In 1998, they renamed it Google and moved operations into a friend's garage in Menlo Park, California. 1 year later, they approached Yahoo and tried to sell the company for $1 million. They offered to sell Google to Yahoo for $1 million. Yahoo executives looked at the offer and said no. They did not see the value in owning a search engine when search was just a feature. By 2004, Google went public at $85 per share and was valued at $23 billion. Today, the company is worth over $1 trillion and dominates global search traffic completely with no serious competition. This is the story of how two Stanford PhD students built the most dominant search engine in history and how Yahoo passed on buying it twice, once for $1 million and once for $3 billion. If you are interested in how garage startups become trillion-dollar companies and how massive opportunities get missed by established players, subscribe to SnapOldBusiness now. Let's get into exactly how this happened. Larry Page grew up in Michigan surrounded by computers and technology from an early age. His father was a computer science professor at Michigan State. His mother taught computer programming. Technology was everywhere in the household. Sergey Brin was born in Moscow, Russia in 1973. His family emigrated to the United States when he was 6 years old to escape Soviet persecution of Jewish academics and intellectuals. His father became a mathematics professor. Page and Brin met at Stanford University in 1995. Page was visiting the campus as a prospective PhD student in computer science. Brin, who was already enrolled, was assigned to show him around the campus and facilities. They argued about almost everything immediately upon meeting. Different opinions on research methods and approaches, different philosophies about solving problems, constant intellectual sparring that bordered on hostile disagreements but was actually productive and stimulating for both of them. Despite the disagreements, or maybe because of them, they started spending more time together discussing ideas and possibilities. Both were brilliant, opinionated, and obsessed with organizing information on the internet and making it accessible to everyone in the world. By 1996, they were working together on a research project about how the structure of the web itself could improve search quality and help people find accurate information faster than existing methods allowed at the time. The web in 1996 was growing exponentially with millions of new pages added every month. But search engines were primitive and easily manipulated by anyone who understood how they worked. Existing engines ranked pages simply by keyword frequency, which produced terrible results. If a website mentioned a keyword 10 times, it ranked higher than sites mentioning it only once, regardless of quality or relevance. Website owners quickly learned to stuff pages with irrelevant keywords repeatedly to game the system and rank higher than they deserved. Larry Page had an idea inspired by academic research and how scholarly citations worked in universities. In academia, influential important papers get cited more often by other researchers. The same principle could work for websites if implemented correctly with the right algorithm. If many credible authoritative websites linked to a page, that page was probably important, trustworthy, and contained valuable information worth ranking highly. They called this system PageRank, which was both a pun on Larry Page's name and described what it did by ranking pages. The algorithm treated every link on the internet as a vote of confidence from one site to another. But not all votes were equal in the system. Links from important authoritative established sites counted significantly more than links from unknown news sites with no reputation or credibility. The algorithm worked brilliantly and produced dramatically better results than competitors. BackRub returned better, more relevant search results than anything else available on the internet at the time. Users who tried it were immediately amazed at the accuracy and quality compared to AltaVista or Yahoo. But it required enormous computing power to crawl the web and calculate all the links between millions of pages. Page and Brin filled their dorm rooms with cheap used hard drives purchased with credit cards and connected them together into a makeshift server network that ran constantly. Stanford's network administrators started complaining about the bandwidth usage. BackRub was consuming half the university's entire internet bandwidth by itself, slowing down everything else. The university told them they had to either shut it down immediately or move it off campus, completely to avoid disrupting other research. In 1998, Page and Brin decided to turn the research project into a real company with external funding and proper infrastructure. They needed a name that represented their mission of organizing vast amounts of information and making it universally accessible and useful to everyone. A friend suggested Google, the mathematical term for the number 10 to the 100th power, which represented the vast scale of information they wanted to organize. They accidentally misspelled it as Google when checking if the domain was available. The typo stuck and became the permanent name that everyone knows today. They rented a garage from Susan Wojcicki in Menlo Park, California for $1,700 a month to save money on office space. Wojcicki was an Intel marketing manager who needed help paying her mortgage. She later became CEO of YouTube after Google acquired it in 2006 for $1.65 billion. Google had no revenue model initially and no clear path to profitability. The search engine was completely free to use. Users loved it, and traffic grew exponentially every month. But monetization was completely unclear to everyone, including the founders, who were focused purely on improving search quality and user experience. Competitors like Yahoo and AltaVista made money from banner ads placed on search results pages and from paid search placement where advertisers paid for top rankings regardless of relevance. Google refused to mix paid results with organic search results because they believed it would corrupt the quality and betray user trust. Page and Brin believed that mixing advertisements with search results would corrupt the quality and make results less trustworthy and useful. This philosophy made Google incredibly popular with users but completely unprofitable as a business. Traffic was exploding exponentially, but revenue remained at zero with no monetization strategy. By 1999, Google was processing millions of searches per day and growing at an incredible rate. Growth was incredible and the product was clearly working, but they were running out of money fast. Server costs, bandwidth, and hiring engineers were overwhelming their limited capital reserves, and they needed a solution urgently. Page and Brin approached Yahoo, the dominant internet portal at the time, and offered to sell Google to them for $1 million. Yahoo had search, email, news, stock quotes, and massive traffic. They seemed like the perfect buyer who could integrate Google's superior technology into their existing platform and reach. Yahoo executives looked at the offer and said no. They did not see significant strategic value in owning a search engine outright when search was just one feature among many. Search was not a standalone business worth acquiring separately in their view. It was just a utility that sent users away from Yahoo to other sites. Yahoo's business model at the time was built around keeping users on yahoo.com as long as possible to show them more banner ads and maximize revenue per visit. Search sent users away to other websites, which was counterproductive and harmful to their advertising revenue. Strategy and business model fundamentals. This fundamental misunderstanding of search's strategic value and future importance was Yahoo's first catastrophic mistake with Google. They completely missed what search would become on the internet and how dominant the best search engine would eventually be in controlling traffic and online behavior patterns across the entire web. Page and Brin went back to building and improving the product instead of selling. In June 1999, they raised $25 million from Sequoia and Kleiner Perkins, two of the most prestigious venture capital firms in Silicon Valley. At a valuation of approximately $100 million for the company, Yahoo had just passed on buying Google for $1 million, which was 1% of what top-tier professional venture capital firms valued it at just months later. This valuation gap would prove to be an expensive mistake that haunted Yahoo for years and became a case study in missing obvious opportunities. Google finally introduced advertising in 2000 with a new system called AdWords that was different from how competitors monetized search. Ads appeared as small text blocks alongside organic search results, but were clearly and prominently labeled as sponsored links with complete transparency so users knew exactly what they were clicking. Advertisers bid on keywords in an automated auction system where competition set prices. The highest bidder for any given keyword got the top ad placement. But critically, Google only charged advertisers when someone actually clicked the ad and visited their website, not just for displaying the ad or getting impressions like traditional banner advertising worked. This pay-per-click model aligned incentives perfectly between Google, advertisers, and users in a three-way win. If ads were relevant and useful to what people were searching for, people clicked them and advertisers got customers. If ads were irrelevant or unhelpful, people ignored them and advertisers paid nothing, which created pressure for relevance and quality. AdWords exploded in popularity among advertisers who loved being able to track return on investment precisely and pay only for actual results. Users tolerated the ads because they were actually useful, relevant to their searches, and clearly labeled, which maintained trust in Google's commitment to quality and transparency over pure profit maximization. By 2001, Google was profitable for the first time in company history. Revenue grew rapidly from $86 million in 2001 to over $3 billion by 2004, an almost 40-fold increase. The business model scaled extraordinarily well because incremental searches cost almost nothing to serve but generated significant advertising revenue. Meanwhile, Yahoo finally realized its catastrophic mistake as Google's market share grew relentlessly. By 2002, Google was clearly and decisively winning search while Yahoo's own search product was falling behind in quality and usage. Yahoo came back with a much larger offer to try to fix their earlier mistake and acquire the company. Yahoo offered to buy Google for $3 billion in 2002, which was an enormous price and would have made Page and Brin extremely wealthy by any measure. Most entrepreneurs would have accepted immediately. But Page and Brin looked at the offer and decided Google was worth more than that and had more potential as an independent company. Page and Brin said no to $3 billion. Google was worth more than that in their view, and they wanted to build it themselves as independent founders rather than become Yahoo employees and give up control over product direction. company culture, and strategic decisions about the future of search and advertising on the internet. On August 19, 2004, Google went public through an initial public offering. The IPO priced shares at $85 each, and strong demand drove the price higher immediately. The company raised nearly $2 billion from public investors and was valued at $23 billion, nearly 8 times Yahoo's rejected offer just 2 years earlier. Yahoo had now passed on Google twice in just 5 years. Once at $1 million in 1999, once at $3 billion in 2002. Both decisions would go down in business history as catastrophic mistakes and missed opportunities that allowed a garage startup to become the most dominant company in search and digital advertising. The IPO was unconventional and controversial on Wall Street. Page and Brin structured voting shares to keep control of the company even as public shareholders bought in. Founders held Class B shares with 10 votes each, while public investors got Class A shares with only 1 vote each, creating a dual-class structure that concentrated power. Wall Street analysts and institutional investors hated the dual-class structure and called it arrogant, undemocratic, and unfair to public shareholders. Page and Brin did not care about the criticism. They wanted to run Google their way without short-term pressure from public investors demanding quarterly earnings growth and immediate profitability at the expense of long-term innovation. After going public with billions in capital, Google expanded aggressively into new products beyond search. Gmail launched in 2004 with 1 GB of free storage per user. Competitors like Hotmail and Yahoo Mail offered only 2 to 4 megabytes. Google offered literally 500 times more storage completely free, which seemed impossible but was enabled by Google's superior infrastructure. Google Maps launched in 2005 with satellite imagery, street maps, and turn-by-turn directions that worked better than anything else available. YouTube was acquired in October 2006 for $1.65 billion. Android mobile operating system was acquired in 2005 for just $50 million and became the world's dominant mobile OS within 5 years. Every major acquisition and product launch followed the same strategic pattern that became Google's signature approach. Build something that users love and that works dramatically better than existing alternatives. Give it away free or very cheap to gain massive scale and market share. Monetize later through advertising or premium services once you have hundreds of millions of users locked into the ecosystem. By 2015, Google reorganized under a new parent company called Alphabet to separate the core profitable advertising business from experimental moonshot projects like self-driving cars, life extension research, and internet balloons. Today, Google Search handles over 90% of global search traffic, and the company generates over $240 billion annually from advertising alone. Here's what the Google story teaches about building enduring, valuable companies. Solve a real important problem before worrying about monetization or revenue. Google perfected search and built genuine user trust for years before introducing advertising, and that patience and focus on quality built an unassailable moat that competitors could never overcome even with massive resources. Subscribe if this was worth your time and you want more stories like this. See you in the next one.